admin access to my page.
All right, what's up, everybody? Good evening. This is Camp Quarantine coming at you. I know quarantine has changed for so many people, but one thing that is a constant is the fact that we are here to bring you entertainment, information, and tonight, maybe even a love life. I am here with the most amazing Tracy Locke and, of course, Kim Mazzella, and this is Manifesting Monday, Practical Magic. What's up, ladies?
It's the Manifesting Monday.
Love this thing. You're an amazing singer. I can't wait to see the video that you did with the kids.
Oh God! Did you see the primer when we'll get into that later. But anyway, how have you guys been doing? How has the week been? I've been looking forward to this all week.
I'm telling you.
Manifesting the relationship of your dreams.
Yes.
Woo!
I know, right? I want to get one of these out, like manifesting. Shari Freed is here. Good evening. I'm going to share it to Kim Mazzella's page right now. And yes, if we do the admin, that'd be great. But tonight, ladies, we are on and say hello to people on Facebook, Tracy Locke Facebook, Girls Gone Green, Camp Quarantine. We are also on Quarantine Dating 2020. I thought it was totally appropriate. Subject matter.
Oh my God. That'll be really interesting to hear what people there have to say. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of comments about this one.
Oh, you know it. And my Aunt Cecilia is tuning in. So I'm really excited. And yeah, so I'm getting a lot of questions, Kim Mazzella, about creating relationships. And I said to some people earlier today, tune in even if you are in a relationship, because you can take the practices that I know we're going to talk about and apply it to other parts of your life. So if you guys are tuning in, don't tune out right away just because you think that maybe you're in a really happy relationship. But learning these practices, right or wrong, Kim, you can apply it to any part of your life.
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking to somebody before, and like everything is relationship. So if you think about, a career is a relationship, your relationship with your boss, your relationship with your child, everything is really relationship. Truly, we are constantly in relationship with everything else. Anything that's not you is something you're in relationship with.
So
and money.
What I'm so excited about, though, ladies, is that not only is it going to be a relationship, it's relationship of your dreams, and we were really specific of that. To that, about that, and again, it doesn't have to be romantic relationships, but just how you want to move through the world, right? Because a lot of times, and you guys brought that to my attention today, like a lot of times you go, oh, I hope it's going to be good. Why wouldn't you look for the best? Why would you want the relationship of your dreams for all of it, like with your family members, with your friends, with your loved one, with your boss? And I just think that's so important to put your head in that space rather than just space.
I think also the world kind of trains us to not hope for more because we're so trained to avoid pain, right? So we think if I don't ask for it all, I won't be in pain. But the truth is that is such a fallacy, because if you don't ask for it all, you won't get any of it. If you don't ask for it all, you're definitely not going to get any of it. And so we usually think that if we don't get it, we haven't gotten it. We just sometimes give up before we get there. So you should always ask for what you want and the best version of it.
Yeah, I think it goes with that whole saying that everybody's like, well, if you expect nothing, you're not going to be let down. And I don't know. For me, I'd rather have a little bit of an expectation and hope that something meets it rather than have no expectation.
Well, it's hard. So we may have talked about this before on this show. I'm not even sure, but I know we've talked about it personally. But it gets confusing, and Kim can speak to this, so can Donna maybe, that a lot of times in teachings, when you're doing the work that we talked about last week, where you're doing a lot of reading and listening, you'll get some conflicting messages, which may not be conflicting, but are confusing, right? So one of the messages that I always get is, because we talked about this last week, being a type A personality, like you want to do the work. But sometimes you'll hear let go, let God, and go into it with no expectations. And you're like, what is it? Do I have expectations? Or do I not have expectations? Do I let it go, or do I do the work? So I think a lot of people get really confused in relationships. It's like you think that everyone I know thinks you should go in with like a list of what you want in your head and kind of standards, like raise your standards. Don't go in and be like, oh, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, right? But it's confusing.
Go ahead, Kim.
Go ahead, Donna.
No, you can go. You go.
Well,
See, you girls are confused already. I know.
well, it is confusing because I think with anything, we want, and so it's not about wanting, it's about moving into the space of knowing, and then moving out of the space of waiting, moving into the space of just knowing, and then loving where you are. So if you know something you want is coming, right, and you know that your job is not to ask when it's coming, just to know it is coming, right? I've asked for this, it is coming, but my job now is to get into fun. My job now is to know it's coming and be here where I am right now, enjoying what's going on right in front of my face, being fully present, but knowing that's coming too. Like, and one of the things is making it delicious, right? Making it so feel like a miracle all the way. Feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this great thing, but I also have this great thing, and it's one great thing after another. And noticing the gifts that you get. If you can notice the gifts all day long, or you could notice what's not working. And there's gifts all day long. Why not notice them? Why not get excited about, I don't know, whatever's in front of your face, right? Because I mean, and everything can be seen as a gift or a big challenge. And I think that, yes, it does feel like, oh, but you're selling me. You're just trying to make it so that I can wait until they get here. But if you are not happy when they get here, you won't even, by the time they get there, you're not going to see them because you're not going to be aligned with them anyway.
Exactly.
So the job is to figure out what right now will bring you joy. I have such a thing right next to my, I keep a lot of notes. So I'm a sticky note girl. And so I always think, what does my inner guide think about this? So that's like kind of the question I ask myself all day long. If I am not feeling happy, that means that the inner part of me that's trying to guide me is telling me I'm not thinking the thoughts that are right for me right now. So I use my inner guide all day long, try to stay in that at least contented place, and knowing that what I want is coming, and it's not my business to ask for when, just to ask for what I want.
Okay, but like the analogy we used about pumpkins last week, right? Remember Donna's analogy about our pumpkins?
Yeah. You can't plant it and then stomp on the ground and expect it to show up.
Right, but you can't just throw seeds and be like, whatever, the seed's going to throw, whatever I'm throwing is going to go, right? You have to say, like, okay, this is what I want. I want big pumpkins, so I'm going to buy big pumpkin seeds.
Right.
But so my question to both of you is, do you create a list and say, I'm looking for bang, 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 bang? Or do you just go, I'm just going to keep my eyes open and I'll know it when I see it?
I'm dying to say something.
Okay, you go ahead, Donna.
Okay. So I'm going to give an analogy because that's how I speak. And I think that for those people that maybe don't completely understand the language that Kim's talking about, or don't identify with inner guides and things like that, the first vision that came to my mind when you were talking is planning a vacation. So when you plan a vacation, and you're going to plan a vacation for 6 months from now, every day, do you check the weather, what's going on today at the place where you're staying? No,
but I definitely research where I'm going to stay. I don't just randomly show up somewhere.
No, I understand that, but I'm not talking about that. So we've already researched it. You've got your ideal place. You've booked your vacation. So that's like your scripting, you're pre-paving for the relationship you're looking for. And you're going to put that down. You're going to document it. But you're not going to say, I don't like the cologne he smells like he's wearing, because he's not even there yet. Like you, so
no negatives. Just
no. Really quick. I'm saying you're not checking the vacation, but you might think, I can't wait till I get there because I love the beach, and I can't wait until I'm there because I can picture the warm sun on my body. I bet you there's a tiki bar. Oh, I love tiki bar music. And you might say that, but there's a difference between putting yourself in joy and putting yourself and aligning yourself with excitement for being somewhere. And then there's a difference between micromanaging it before it actually even shows up.
Right. So neither one of you have answered the question, do I make a list about what I want?
I said you make the list. You find the place that you want. You know that you want to have water sports. You know you want an oceanfront place. You know you want really good restaurants. You maybe want all inclusive. I'm saying you plan what it is you want. You write it all down. The difference is in the reality of what we're talking about. You book it. I'm saying you're booking this relationship by pre-paving or putting your script together. But I'm saying you're not checking the weather of the location you're going to every single day when it's coming later. And maybe that's not right, but that's the first thing that came to me.
No, I agree with what you're saying, but I think the script itself is the way I would write a script for a relationship would go like this. So the first thing is, you got to understand that in order to attract a relationship, you've got to be the person that would be the partner of the person that you're trying to attract, right? So if I want a strong partner who feels confident in themselves and needs some space, but not a ton of space, like I kind of know what I need in a partner, right? So I'm going to put that down on a piece of paper. And I always go, together we, when we're apart we, and I write all those letters. We like to together. We allow each other, our families. Like I try to think about everything that that I'd want in a relationship. My family's very important to me. I spend a lot of time with them. So I need a partner that would be cool to that, right? So I'll put that down, right? Because if you are not down with the fact that I like to spend time with my mom, I think she's a great person.
Right.
Not the person for me. Oh, thank you. And that's important to know. Like that's important to know. So I actually, when I actually have written a script for the partner that I have now. When I wrote that script, I probably wrote it a year before he showed up. I mean, a full year. I'm going to be honest with you. I wrote it. I had it on my board. I looked at it every once in a while. Every once in a while, I would take stuff off or add stuff. But I started my thank you, superconscious mind, or thank you, universe, or thank you for my fabulous relationship. Together, we, all this stuff. And on our first date, I was like, oh, it's you. Like, I didn't tell him that, though, because
Awesome.
I had been a little freaked out.
You
But
knew on the first date?
Not for, well, we hung out. I actually knew a woman who said when I first got divorced, oh my gosh, I have the perfect guy for you. And I'm like, I'm not even divorced yet, right? And then about a year later, when I was divorced, she said, oh, I should introduce you to so-and-so. And I said, okay. And then when she went to introduce me to him, he was dating somebody. Then a year later, she said, oh, he's single and I was dating somebody. And then a year later, she said, oh, I said, I broke up with somebody. He was dating somebody. And then a couple months later, he said to her, I'm single. And she said, are you still single? I said, yes. And she actually had a barbecue to introduce us.
Wow.
And we hit it off right then. But when I met him, I thought we could be friends. Like I could totally see myself as friends with you. But then on our first date, it was our first date that I'm like, oh, I actually really vibe with you. But I didn't tell him until like we were together like 4 months. Oh, by the way, I wrote a whole thing about you. And he matches it almost to a T. Really, honestly.
Did you let him read it? Like, has he ever read it?
No, because I kind of like ripped it up after about 6 months. I was done. I knew it was coming. I didn't really feel the need. But I also did I did like a crystal grid. So I used to every night, like before I go to bed, I used to like ask for the universe to bless my partner. And then I wake up in the morning, ask the universe to bless my partner. And it was fun. It was never anything like, oh, when is he coming?
Right.
Because I was busy and I had a life. And I knew enough that I knew that if I was like, oh, when is he coming? I would not be the person that would be the partner, because if I was needy like that, he would be like, right now he'd be like,
Yeah.
But I'm just not. And one of the things he loves is that I have a lot to do,
Yeah.
and he does too. So yes, that's how, and it worked, but I always just kind of knew he was coming.
That's really good.
Yeah. And it worked.
That's
And
good.
even, it doesn't matter. The other thing to understand about relationships is they're all successful if they teach you something.
Exactly.
The shortest ones, the longest ones. Success in relationships should never be measured by how long they last. Because I think about my marriage, and that was a really successful relationship. I became the best version of myself at the end of that marriage. Like I learned so much about myself. I learned what I needed. I learned what I didn't need, and learned what worked for me. So I think that's what the other thing to really understand about relationships is you meet yourself in everybody else. You meet yourself in everything you do.
Of course.
And you learn about who you are, and you learn about what you need to rise to the occasion to. And you could go through this life just going through it, or you could go through this life really growing through it and becoming happier and a better version of yourself every time. And that's, I really feel like sometimes, like when people will see me at work, they'll be like, "You're so happy." I'm like, "I know, right?" Because I do a lot.
Yeah.
Because I
Right.
choose that.
Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Of course, you do a lot of work on it. People say to me all the time, they're like, "How come you always look happy? How come you always whatever?" I don't. It's a choice.
Right.
It's a total choice. I mean, I'm like reading to kids in the morning at 10 o'clock, and I'm like, "What's up?" And
I love that.
I mean, you never know what conversation happened right before I got on. It might have been, something about my business, or it might have been something about life, or, I don't even want to put out there what it could be, but I choose to compartmentalize it. I choose to not to be false. It's not even being false. It's choosing to take that space of higher elevation. And I mean, I know you guys are both in relationships, and on this panel right now, I am the single lady. I wanted to tell you a couple of things I thought was interesting that I noticed in the dating world on the dating apps, because I checked out some stuff. As a matter of fact, I re-downloaded a dating app recently because I thought, I want to see what would I want to put out there, because I do find that I know I put like a script, if you will, like I'll put stuff out there. It always shocks me when I see people. I mean, I only see guys dating profiles where they have nothing out there except for their picture. And I'm like, I don't get like why you don't write anything.
Right.
And I wonder, is it because you want to become what the girl wants? Or is it just that you are so not even into dating? Like, are you just here because you want to just shop? It's like going to a store with no money in your pocket. It's kind of strange to me. But I've noticed the biggest difference is everybody is writing political things now, and also about I can't believe how much my life has changed, or my focus has changed because of this quarantine. And those are like kind of refreshing when you see somebody that says, this quarantine has changed me so much, and it's really changed me, and made me realize I am looking to find somebody to spend the rest of my life with. And I'm like, wow, somebody's really lonely in that apartment.
But it is true though, right? I mean, I really honestly feel like we were a camera that was really out of focus, and we have come so into focus with everything that's going on in the world. And that's why I feel like I always say this is the time for light workers. So really, because politics is never going to be in the vortex ever, right? So this is the time for light workers to change the world. And this is the time where everybody kind of is becoming one, because everybody's becoming a little self-reflective of, I've been just going along, and I really never thought about things much, and now I have no choice.
Right.
I think it's good that people post their political stuff on there, because I think that people care so much. I mean, if you care, because people care so much, I'd rather, if I cared that much, I'd want to be with someone who cared that much too. So you won't be dating someone who posted that political thing, because now oh, you're not in the realm of alignment with me.
Correct.
Right. So if someone posts a political thing, oh, I'm not going to click on you. Right. Or whatever you do. It's been a while.
So do you, Donna, when you're going through that, or do you have like a completely open mind, or do you have like parameters in your head? Because I've never done done any dating apps. So I have no concept of like, obviously when you meet someone at a bar, you kind of have a vibe, you get a vibe. Or if you meet them at a club or whatever, you kind of get a vibe, and you can get a vibe from pictures for sure. But I'd love to hear your insight into, like, do you go into it just like, I'm not going to even worry about what the guy looks like, I'm going to read first, or I'm going to see if I have connection with their eyes, or whatever it could be?
Well, I mean, I definitely will say this. And then, Rosario, I'm not ignoring you. There's somebody that would love our input. And I promise you, as soon as we get to a point where it fits in the conversation, I will acknowledge you. I'm not ignoring you. We're getting a couple of messages in a row from somebody. So, I mean, I think that I'd be lying to say that it's not about a certain look. And really, it's more about how you present yourself, because I'm trying not to sound the wrong way here. I don't want to sound insulting, but I mean, we have people that we're attracted to and people we're not attracted to, and parameters, and we're all allowed to be discerning. It's very different than just being judgmental. It's being discerning, because why would I set myself up for failure if I look at somebody and I think to myself, wow, I love what they wrote, but I don't know if I can handle that eyebrow issue. Like, because you don't want to go into it wanting to change somebody. And I'm in the industry of hair. So it's like, for me, it's like I look at how people are groomed. And because I think to myself, for me, that's important.
Sure.
Teeth are important to me. Like, I hope that people smile so I could see them. But to
You're like eyes.
I won't date a cigarette smoker. That is a hard no for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I know that, and I feel like it's interesting when and so it is. It's like my script writing is when I'm writing my profile. Like I'm pescatarian, so I don't eat meat. But my little cute thing is I write. I will not date a smoker, but I will date a carnivore. Meaning like I'm not a person that's saying, ew, I'll throw a bucket of red paint on you if you're eating a cowboy steak. It's like,
right.
But I think that it's just interesting, and to kind of like, I want to keep it on track with what we're talking about. I just think it's very interesting, the difference I've seen, because it just used to be very, nothing written. And now I'm finding that people are really starting to kind of come on board. I don't even know if they realize that what they're doing is scripting, because they are letting and you can tell in some of the, what they're writing. I want a woman that's not going to be needy, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, oh, so I guess your last person was really needy. Like, it's like, wow, the pendulum is swinging the complete other way for you.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to talk about neediness in relationship for a second, if you don't mind.
Right
just because I know most of us in our 20s are needy in relationships, right? Because when you first fall in love with somebody, and it's the first time that happens, it's like, oh my gosh, we're one, right? And then when they walk away and you're like, oh, we're not one, this feels uncomfortable, right? Like I think maybe in my teenage years. But we have to grow up and grow out of that, right? Because when we look at someone else and think that they complete us, right? That we're saying we're incomplete, and we're not. We're not incomplete. We don't need another person for anything except for a place to extend joy, right? That's what the partner should be. So in order to extend joy, you already have to have it. So if you're not joyful first, just recognize you're not ready to get into a relationship. You have a job to do first, right? Because I'm not saying you have to be skipping through your day, but if you don't have some level of content at most of your day, if you don't enjoy who you are and enjoy your own time and like being with yourself, you're not ready to be in a relationship. Because why would anybody want to hang out with you if you don't like hanging out with you, right? So that's, I think, a very important thing to recognize when you're trying to get into a relationship. How do I feel about myself? Do I think I'm like the bomb diggity, or do I, I know that just sounded like I was.
No, you're so cute. I love you so much. I love you so much.
We gotta back it up. All right, yeah. Go ahead. I see you chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
So, Rosario, I'm going to acknowledge there's a gentleman that has been trying to get our attention. He's finding that he'd like some advice or some guidance, because I shouldn't say advice, but he said all women want is money. And he's finding that all women want in a long distance relationship is money, not my good qualities. When they're with me, she shall be my top priority. And then the last comment that he has made is, I make her melt with my words, but their top priority is money. So I'm going to say one thing, and I would love to hear Kim's take on it, because he's really asking for help several times. And I want to say that to me, he's got to change his script, because he is putting that out there, that he is continuously saying all they want is money. And if you are continuously attracting women that want money, it's because you need to shift the way that you are putting out who it is you're looking for. Kim, take it away in the more professional manner.
No, I was going to say the same thing. And so beliefs are very attractive. So if you believe something, it's like a thought that goes out into the world is in form of energy. And you don't realize that it is kind of pervasive it will infiltrate the way you speak, the things you talk about, and the things you attract. So if you believe all they want is your money, you're going to continue to attract women that want your money. So your job is to figure out what your belief is, which is you believe that all women want is money, and figure out how you're going to change that too. And I would just start practicing. I attract a woman who wants me for who I am, not my money. And also look like, what is it that you always want in a woman? Are you always looking at their looks? Maybe you're looking for a specific type, and the type that you're attracted to is a woman that wants a sugar daddy. Isn't that what they call them?
Yes.
So what is it that you, if you keep attracting the same type, that type is going to just want money. And I want to tell you something. There's a lot of women out there that would definitely be happy to have a guy's money, but there are plenty of women that are very independent, make their own money, and don't need. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to have someone help you out, but are you intimidated by a woman that makes her own money? Are you, like, these are questions you can ask yourself.
What is this, Rosario? We would like you to be a little clearer. She tells me all women are beautiful. Who's telling you that all women are beautiful? Because to what you just said, Kim, I mean, just from learning about the law of attraction, if you're going to keep continuing to attract that type of woman, it also, to me, means that there's something that you haven't worked through yet, that you will be given that same exact scenario so that you can learn to change it and work through it.
That's what happens. The universe keeps giving you the same scenario over and over again, because we're not allowed to skip our lesson. We're just not. So what happens is the lesson gets louder and louder and louder and louder until it either drags us down or we learn it. And hopefully we learn it this time go round. I mean, I believe that we get another chance, but not in this lifetime. But not everybody believes that. But regardless, it'll get worse and worse, and until you look at what it is you believe. Because I always say, right, the universe starts with a whisper. You should do this, make this little change, and it gets louder and louder until you get hit by the cosmic 2x4. And so the cosmic 2x4 is a woman who takes all your money, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
So,
we're all beautiful. He said to us, she tells me she wants money. I say to you three women, you're all beautiful. Thank you so much. And none of us want your money, and we're all beautiful. Yo, you're changing things right now.
Yes, see, it's already happening. So what work could you be doing, Kim and Donna, in that vein? So if you do find yourself attracted to the same type of person or the same type of scenario, what could you actually do? Besides, okay, so you have to redo your mindset, but what does that actually practically mean?
Okay, so this is actually something I did, because I used to be attracted to the bad boy. The worse, the better. How they would treat me bad. If you treated me like I was worthless, I was all over you, right? So,
all right.
That's so funny, because I'm going to take it down, but that Frank Simon is like asking about that next. So that's funny. See, look at that.
Okay. So if you treated me poorly, and I knew it was me. I knew, wow, what's wrong with me that I'm attracted to the bad boy rocker who always, who's going to leave me high and dry. And I actually started saying, I'm growing in this department, and I asked the universe to show me examples of men I could be attracted to that weren't bad boys. And I kept saying, thank you, universe, show me examples. And I would see it on TV. I'm like, oh, he's not a bad boy and he's kind of cute. Oh, I could be attracted to. Thank you, universe, for showing me non-bad boys that I could be attracted to. And then what happened was I dated one of them. And he wasn't the one, but he was a great one. And he was a good guy. And I was like, and I felt like being with someone who was really kind, who was nice. He was a good guy. He may not have been Mr. Forever, but he was Mr. Really Nice. Kind of changed my pattern. And then I started dating people who were nicer and nicer and nicer. And then eventually I met someone who I was really attracted to, who was a really nice guy. But it took a lot of work. It took willingness to look around the universe and ask for a change in the past. I would say it took 3 years of work.
Yeah, that's actually not that bad.
No.
That's not that long.
No.
Yeah, because Frank said his comment was, it's no different than when women date the same type of men who cheat on them and abuse them constantly. And I know that sometimes there's comfort in familiarity. So if perhaps maybe the first person you ever fell in love with, it didn't work out and they treated you poorly, it could be in a pattern of that. And you have to get through that pattern to break through. And it also sometimes has nothing to do with romantic relationships. You could be working out a lot of inner child issues with what's going on in relationships. And I'm very well aware of that because, growing up, my parents were divorced, and I'll be really transparent to say, I didn't really grow up with a father figure in my face, like all the time. So for me, I think younger years, I searched a lot for, well, what guy am I even into? Like, what am I attracted to? And that's why I was able to date a variety of different guys. And I don't really have, my kids will say, oh, you have a type. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But even though sometimes they look similar, right? There's certain look, but they all had different personalities. And I think that that's something too that you have to go through until you find out what aligns with you. If you're not trying to prepave and script. And that's what we were trying to talk about tonight, because it's like a really cool way to, instead of putting the cart before the horse, you know what I mean? You want to like do the opposite. And that's what the purpose of, I know, scripting is.
Right. And I think the biggest thing is recognizing you've got a pattern, because I think that it's hard, like, especially when you're first coming to this stuff, it's really hard to realize the reason. And you're like, okay, I'm going to start manifesting. Yay. And then you're like, why is this not coming? Right? I've been manifesting it for 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, 3 whole weeks.
And you're like, oh, I might be up against a belief. And so patterns are really just beliefs, right? Beliefs that we keep seeing again and again and again. They're really hard to overcome, but they can be overcome. But the first thing is you have to recognize the pattern and kind of name it and say, oh, like for me, it was, I'm attracted to people who make me beg for my self-worth, right? Or make me prove my worth. And I never can prove it or get approval. And so when I recognized that, it was really not easy to change, but I did, thankfully.
I think that's proof positive, though, that the energy that you put out is what you receive. If you've never really bought into it or believed it before, because if you have found a connective thread through people that you've dated and you're like, but none of them looked alike, or one was a setup, one we met at a bar, one I met on a dating app, and there's still that very interesting piece that connects, you're like, oh yeah, maybe the universe is doing that, because there's no other, to me anyway, there's really no other explanation for having so many people have the same kind of connective thread. Do I make sense with what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. And I definitely think that we're broadcasting energy, and that energy is attractive to specific people, whether we recognize we're doing it or not. And it will repel other people, whether we recognize we're doing it or not. And even if it feels like a setup. I mean, I really do believe that I was protected from meeting my boyfriend too early, but they wanted us to know about each other, right? And yeah. I think the universe was like, oh, they're going to be so happy when they meet. And we were, right? But they're like, oh, they're not ready. She is not there yet. She is not there yet. And it was 3 years later that we actually met. But I think it's because there was some sort of connection there, but it wasn't right yet. I think that we are energetically constantly bringing people in, whether we know it or not. We just don't know how far away from us they are or not, and I definitely think that as you change, who you will meet will change too.
1,000%.
Now, Donna, with your connective thread, so meaning, you've dated similar people, like you say, similar personality traits, not the same look, blah, 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 whatever it is. Now, do you say to yourself, let me hone in on what that trait is and change a little something? Because if you're
doing something within me because of what I'm broadcasting, because for me, I definitely, I know I know what it is. And it's
really, through what? Through just like going through these guys and being like, okay, this one did, meaning I know it's not the guy. Kim made that clear. It's not.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I'm broadcasting out there, but I'm saying to you that I recognize the fact that they have been quality human beings, and that there's been so many times I've ignored red flags. And I'm not to say that I am without a red flag myself for someone else. What I'm trying to say is because on the flip side of that coin, that person also attracted me. The universe does not revolve around me. So I can't say that it is all about me for me.
Right.
Yes.
But it's also equally all about them for them. So there's a lesson that has to be learned there together yet separately. I mean, I don't know, you can speak to that one, Kim, but yeah, I think that it's very interesting. If you want to go through life hardened and be like, oh, that guy was a jerk. But if you actually sit there and you take time to like look at what it was and say, well, what is it that's going on? Or what am I going to look for next time? I mean, yeah,
I think that's really important. That's why I'm asking about it, because I do think there's a big responsibility in going through your part, meaning not you specific, and both parts, and saying what went right as well as what went wrong. Not just what went wrong, because we have a tendency, I know I did when I was dating, to be like, well, they did this, 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 and this. And then I always put that in my head because it was easier for me to go because they did this, this, and this. So I could justifiably go, right? Instead of saying, well, you were in that relationship too. What did you do? So I do think that's where the work is. As we talked about before, doing the work. Then what do? Okay, you go, all right, now I keep doing X. I've got to change that. And then we start doing reading about it, meaning the practical part. What am I going to do about it? Now I know that I do. Okay, for me.
Well, but I can tell you this. A lot of the time is because I'm very much a nurturer, right? And I want to take care of. And if I see somebody that's got something that's, they're going through something, it empowers me. What?
A broken wing, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to sound condescending. I don't know.
That's not good.
No, I'm just saying I don't want it to sound like I'm making, jokes about people, because it's not. But my tendency is to be a very big caretaker.
Right.
And I've gotten in relationships in my, let's say, my 30s where I met a guy and I really didn't know if I liked him so much, but I loved his kids. Now that's crazy. That may be crazy to some people, but that's where I was going with the healing an inner child. Knowing that maybe it's something like, for instance, oh, you know what? Like I was brought into their life for a reason, because I do believe that too. So like there's things that you go through where I didn't put myself first. I should have seen red flags. And why the hell am I here? Like I'm not applying for a nanny job. I'm looking for a long-term relationship. You know what I mean? But I was like, does that make sense?
I do, yeah. I think we've all done that, where you just to go like, what was I thinking as far as what my role would be?
Yeah. Go ahead, Kim.
So this is really interesting because I actually have a cool course on relationships. And in my second week, one of the things that I have people do is go through their most impactful relationships. And it could be your parents. Like, it's not just, because a lot of what we repeat in our relationships usually has to do with one parent or the other, right? That's what we can tend to be drawn from. And so the question is, I always say, like, what our parents got right is our inheritance, right? We get to keep that. What they got right becomes us. We got to keep that. What they got wrong is kind of a gift to us, because we get to see where we really need to work, right? What we really need to change. And so one of the things I ask people to do is look at a past relationship and try to figure out, what were your celebrations in that? What were your wins? What did you do better in that relationship than you ever did before? And then where did you struggle? And then what does a person have to believe in order to have that struggle, right? That's how you figure out your belief that you have. So if you struggled, like you couldn't find your voice, maybe what you had to believe was you were not worthy, or that you're not smart enough, or whatever. So you have to look at the struggle and then try to figure out, what would that belief have to be behind the struggle? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then what I have you do is say, well, what's your new belief that you're going to take on? And then we spend the rest of the course working on creating that new belief, going out, practicing it, trying it on through affirmations, trying it on through mirror work, scripting it, faking it till you make it, just trying it 1,000 different ways to become it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally does. It's so funny because you're like, the universe comes as a whisper and then it comes as a resounding sound. And I think for a lot of people, that's what this whole thing of quarantining and COVID has done. It is the resounding, loud, booming, gonging sound. And it's interesting because one of the things I'm dealing with, and very openly, but like, somewhat not completely open, so I'm not going to go further than I feel comfortable with, but I'm restructuring everything at work, and it wasn't quite frankly my choice. But it was definitely something that I recognize as a pattern that I've been trying to go through my entire life, which is if I give, they'll stay. And that was proven that that's not true. And that's my connective thread in a relationship, because what I did all too often in most of my relationships is I put the other person first. And if you listen to Abraham Hicks and you learn there's no shame in selfishness as long as you're taking care of yourself first. Like when you're in the airplane and they say to you when the plane starts going down, you put the oxygen on your face first and then you help the person to your left. My habit has always been I will take the oxygen down and help everybody else to the point I'm gasping for air and wondering why no one's helping me, which then would make me feel resentful. And quite honestly, I'm about to start a new chapter of my life that I am thrilled to start. And even with the challenges that I know I will have, it's not as challenging as what it was before.
Right.
And then, so the big thing for you, Donna, is how do you do it differently so that you don't fall into a trap? And so it's becoming aware, trying things out, practicing sentences. I mean, no is a complete sentence. I learned this when I was 16, but I think I finally really got it at 50. Like that no is just say.
Well, I'm not 50 yet, but I'm almost there, sister. I'm a lot closer.
Yeah. Being 21, I'm really getting a lot from you too. No, but I do agree that no. You know what is so important? No with no explanation behind it.
Yeah, that's a tough one for women, especially because we're not taught we're allowed to do that.
Yeah. It's really hard. It's really interesting, but it seems super empowering to just be like, no. But everybody's always waiting for the but why? Yeah, but to just no.
I work with a woman that does that all the time. And at first I thought it was so rude. Like it feels rude when someone does that. Yes. And now I'm like, yeah, I love you.
Right. Yeah, because men can do that. Men are like, no, not going to do that. What do you mean you're not going to do that? Right. Yeah.
But we do. We definitely feel like we have to give an explanation.
Yes, we absolutely feel that way. I've been that way my whole life, where I feel like I have to give a whole dissertation of why that reason is. It's like,
I know. I love Dawn. I love being a woman.
Why?
Amen. I feel like.
Amen. You can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself.
Now, here's a question, Kim and Donna. What if you see a behavior in yourself that you're like, okay, this is destructive behavior. I don't know why I keep doing it, but I keep doing it. And I keep catching myself doing it over again, even though I tell myself, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And then I do it. So, I have one specific to me where it keeps popping up and I'm like, why do I keep doing this? I keep doing the same thing over and over.
What is it that you're doing?
Being super controlling in a way that not like a needy way, you need to do it. You need to do this, and this. And then they'll do what they're going to do. And I'm like, why are you doing it that way? I just told you how to do it.
So she did the video with her niece and nephew today, and that's exactly where this is coming from, because she hasn't been really doing videos with anybody else but Chris, and you guys have a different relationship.
Oh, no. Chris is, let me tell you what, Donna.
He is beaten, okay? I know. He called me like a hotline.
Tell you, if he would get on here, he would tell you that doing a video with me is like a moment. He's like, now I know what it's like to work with a crazy Hollywood director.
That's why you and I work together so well, because before quarantine, it might be a little different now. It might be like, no, I'm done taking any more of this. We're not doing this. Is the perfect take. Stop, leave it alone. But with all the love in my heart, it's like, I know what you mean. But it was my personality trait that never made you see when I'd be like, okay, let's do it again. And now you're working with a bunch of actors that are like, really? Really? Am I right? Am
No,
I right about
no, you know what's so funny? Here's what it is. It's so interesting because my 11-year-old niece said to me, Aunt Tracy, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Perfect is the enemy of the good, just so you know. That's what they say.
I know,
Right?
but the funny part was they wanted to do it again. They were like, can we do it again? And I was like, well, you just said you thought we had a good take, guys. They were like, well, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we like doing it again. I don't know why. It's like that feeling. I guess I know what it is. It's probably I feel out of control with everything going on with this quarantine. So these are little tiny things I can control. But to Donna's point, this is before quarantine, where I just feel like personally, and it's bleeding into relationships where I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do the best at it. I'm not going to go half-assed. I'm not going to be like, it's like the enemy of me for me is fine. When somebody says, how was it? That's fine. And I just go, and in my head, I go, do you want your life to just be fine? Because fine's not okay by me. So I find myself, I personally fight grappling with that all the time
She's raising her hand. I love it.
So I have a suggestion, because there's nothing wrong with wanting to do an awesome job, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to do an awesome job. That's great if that brings you joy. When you know you're moving out of joy is when it doesn't feel so good anymore. When it makes you feel bad, or it makes you feel less than content. Because remember, content is always our guideline. When you're feeling uncomfortable or not good enough, or then you know you have a signal from your inner guide or from you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've moved out of alignment with myself. Now, I am a very hard worker, and I really like things organized. And if you saw my course, you'd be like, wow, okay. But that's my stuff, and I'm the only one in charge of it, right? I designed it. It's mine. I did it on my time. If I had to bring someone else in to do it, I'd probably lose my mind, right? I get it. So I do understand wanting things your way, the way they are. But when we're dealing with other people and we bring other people into the scenario, now we have, we'd never see our flaws if there was no other people, right?
True.
Right. So if there was nobody, other people are here to make us more compassionate, kinder, more loving, and joyful. There's the spreader of joy. So your job with the people you work with is to make it feel fun, make it feel happy. And you could set expectations better. We may have to do this in 3 takes. Like, set your expectations beforehand.
Right.
So that will help you. You could just say, I'd like this done perfectly. And your job is to figure out how to keep it in joy and do the great job that you can do, because joy is your indicator of alignment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
When you feel yourself sinking below joy, you're saying, my third chakra is moving to be too open, right? Like, or I'm just letting my third chakra, let me say that again. I'm becoming a control freak. That's a better way of saying that.
So that your third chakra is where, for everybody out there?
Third chakra is
Belly?
right here.
And that
belly.
is control.
It's all about control. And so when your third chakra is the perfect size, you allow things, you allow mistakes, but you don't try for mistakes. You roll with the punches. You do your best and leave the rest. When your third chakra gets too big, you've got to be in control of everybody and everything, and then you feel uptight, right?
Yeah.
You feel like, and then when your third chakra is too small, you just like don't take care of yourself. So you want a nice balance of that. And so your indicator is, does this feel good? How do I feel about this? If you start to feel stressed out because like a hair is out of place, that is your indicator. Like, okay, maybe I'm taking this too far.
Right.
I hope
We got a nice plug. Dawn says, Kim is amazing. I'm taking her course. I'm in my 3rd week and I'm moving mountains.
Oh, thanks, Dawn. She's doing a great job. She's working so hard. It's a lot
and then
of work.
My rocker friend Frank says, fine as a definition is fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
Well,
and
I'm like, fine. I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't even know what it would indicate. But when someone says fine to me, it's like a bizarre trigger where I'm like,
you have a visceral response of anger.
Yeah, I understand that. Fine feels like, I would feel like that too. I like things done well. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But there's nothing.
Especially if somebody's saying that to you, you're so passionate about your work. So if you say, what do you think of it? And they're like, fine. That's why, because it's like, you're not hearing, I think it's awesome because you're in a place where you feel it's awesome, or you're not getting like, well, then tell me why you don't think it's awesome. Say,
Right.
I love it, but maybe you would want to do like sunglasses or whatever whatever.
Yes,
But
yes.
I understand.
Not even with work, with relationships. So in a relationship, when somebody says to you, "Oh, that well, what do you want?" I don't know. I think that's fine. I don't know. It's a trigger for me where I'm like, Chris and I have gotten into it where I've been like, and fine is okay. Right? But that's again like a controlling thing where I'm like, maybe I should just say, okay, if it's fine. It's such a weird dichotomy. Like Kim, both of you guys have been there.
I think maybe it's because whatever your definition is of fine, it triggers you because fine is not the same definition for everyone.
Right.
And that could be it too. Maybe what you should do is say to Chris or whoever it is, so tell me what you're like on a scale of 1 to 10, what's fine? He might say it's an 8. And
Right.
to you, fine is a 3. So I can understand exactly why, that's just like anything, I think, in the English language. That just happens to be a great word. But think about how many times you've said a word. I mean, heck, I know I put my foot in my mouth plenty of times. And, I've said a word that I had no idea was going to trigger anybody. And they were like, whoa, you can't say that. And I'm like, why? And I said it because to me, I'm not thinking I'm saying anything bad. So to him, fine might be an 8. And to you, it's definitely a negative 75.
Yeah.
What's happening right here?
I love how your hairstyle changes 700 times through the show.
I can't help it. I have these things. Okay. Oh, Dawn came up with a good one. Fine china is exquisite.
Oh, there you go. You gotta say fine china.
That's what you should say to Chris next time when he says it's fine. Be like China?
Like China.
Like China?
Yeah. Exactly.
So we have about 9 minutes left or 8 minutes left. And I really want to ask, because I know we had promised it and we were talking about creating, our perfect relationship. So before we have to go and we do our angel card reading, I'm going to swing it back over to Kim. I'd like to know if there's anything else you want to, expand upon with what we talked about.
Okay, so in creating your perfect relationship, the first thing you have to do is get right with you. Feel joy, right? Get excited about it. Know it's coming. Write your script. Your script goes like this. Thank you, universe, for my, and you're going to write it in the present tense or the past tense, as if you have it or if you had it. Like it's all the stuff went in the past and right now. And you're going to write about together when I'm in this relationship, we love to, our families are. You want to think about all the things you want in your relationship. What about space? What about how you sleep? There's things, everything that is really important to you, write down on that. I promise you're going to miss stuff and you're going to say, oh, I forgot to write that when the person comes. I wish I added that to my script. You can't get it perfect because relationships are where we grow. And then you put it aside and go live your life and be joyous. Know that the universe is bringing it to you. And your job is to get right with you, to have fun every day, to focus on joy, to be a joy spreader, a light spreader. Have fun in your life because this is it. Enjoy it. That's it. Those are my tips.
Right. I love that. I love that. And like I said before with the trip, I mean, it's like you plan your trip and you can prepare for it, like get a bathing suit, get sunblock, but you're not going to be able to like pre-order your dinner 6 months from now.
Sure.
Like you just have to just pre-pave, plan, get things that make it exciting. I do. I love gratitude. And I think too, waking up every day and writing your couple of things down about gratitude, or if you really are lazy about it, sometimes I am, I'll just say it, but I'll like literally wake up and I'll just be like, I am so grateful for it. And I'll like run off a few things. Yeah. And I think it's like putting that order out into the universe. If the universe is a restaurant and it's serving you up all this stuff, it's like you want to make sure you know what it is that you're looking for.
Yep. That makes total sense to me. You've done it. You've made total sense tonight. I totally get it. It's so great. No, it's really, really great. And I think that, you offered some really practical stuff about scripting and the pre-paving, and that makes sense. Yeah. And, it's really exciting. I'm very, very excited. So people are going to start making their lists. They're going to start pre-scripting, pre-paving. They're going to keep their eyes open. They're going to be grateful. They're going to be joyous. I think, Kim, that what you said is my favorite. Like, just enjoy where you are, and kind of like not a who cares if you meet somebody, but kind of meaning.
Well, it's not that you don't care. It's that you know it's coming. So you get all this time before they show up just to be single. Like, oh, like I'm going to really take advantage of my single life because I'm going to have to share stuff soon. So let me just like really enjoy all this time.
All the M&Ms right now.
I agree with that. It's like I'm walking down Broad Street and I know there's like 10 bus stops along Broad Street. Why am I going to stand at the first one when I can walk, get a little exercise in, enjoy the view? I know I'll catch the bus somewhere on the street.
Yeah.
But I'm not just going to stand here waiting for it.
Exactly.
I mean, like, seriously. All right, so tonight I have out the romance cards.
Man, romance cards. I'm gonna fix my hair for this one.
And I know that you guys are both in lovey-dovey relationships, but I still think that there's always something that we can get out of our relationship that will be found in the romance cards.
Okay.
So,
okay, go ahead.
you tell me when to stop. Tracy, last week I let Kim go first.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Give me a good shuffle there, D-Money. Go ahead, give me a good one. There it is. Stop. That's good. That looks good right there.
Okay. All right, let's see the top card. Are you ready? Is it safe for you to love? Open your heart to give and receive all the highest energy.
Ooh.
Good one.
Ooh.
Very good
And
one.
then give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm going to do it. I'm doing it.
All right.
I'm gonna
better.
let's get this thing going, right?
All right,
Okay.
Kim.
This is me. Okay. Stop.
Okay, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Ready? Oh, retreat. I thought it was a wedding. I was like, ooh.
Hey, some big
Oh, I think this is perfect, though. It's time to disconnect from the world.
Okay. We're going away Friday.
Oh,
oh,
what this one is.
nice.
Honeymoon. I knew it. I said it.
Wow. Get ready, Kim. It's going to be a big weekend.
Hey, if you get engaged this weekend, you better call me.
I don't think so, but we'll have fun. I promise you that.
Oh, that's so nice. All right, let's see. Okay.
Come on.
All right, I'm going to pull this one for me and for everybody at home, okay?
No whammies.
Okay.
Big money, no whammies.
No
I'm
whammies, big
sending you all good cards. Good cards.
Oh, I just,
Ooh,
I don't know
yeah.
what just dropped. I'm
Drop
stopping.
one flew out. I had to tell you something.
Let go and control issues.
You know what was meant for me, but it just like flung out.
That is so funny because that's pretty much allow this situation to unfold naturally.
See?
That's what we just talked about.
Yes.
All right, top card. Unrequited love. Oh,
Ew, put that back.
no. I couldn't stop the shuffling. It doesn't even make sense, but maybe it makes sense for somebody out there because this is definitely
What does it say
something.
on the bottom? What does it say on the bottom?
There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. So somebody that was out there saying they wanted a card and then, ooh, deception. I don't know who's going through it, but
But if you need that, I have a whole course on relationships. So whoever is having this
yeah,
problem,
go
give it
there.
a call.
Someone's wearing a false self-mask in this relationship. I don't know who's asking. I know Frank wants number 11. Guys, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do number 11 for Frank. And the reason I'm saying that is we have another call that we have to get on, and we have about 2 minutes. Actually, you know what? I'm getting out the non-relationship cards.
Yeah, please.
I know that'd be fun, but they stink. I'm getting out my normal, every day I use these angel cards.
Good.
Good. I love it. I love that we're also on board that we're like, good, get the regular ones out. Right?
Real deal out.
We don't want those stinking romance cards.
We don't take a romance cards.
Okay, here we go. One of you guys tell me when to stop.
Me? Stop.
All right, let's see. Divine timing. That's awesome. That's
cool.
also what we talked about with the relationships tonight. Timing is pretty much everything.
Absolutely.
Bottom card. Enchantment.
Much better.
Somebody's gonna have divine timing with this unicorn. I don't know who it is. Look at that.
Looking knight in shining armor. Where is he? There it is.
I don't know. We'll find out. Frank, you want number 11? I'll give it to you. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last card for the night, kids.
Frank. Come on, Frank.
Emerging. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. We're emerging. We're all going to be coming out of this quarantine better people. That's exactly how I take it.
Okay.
I really do. I think that. I think this is an opportunity for all of us little butterflies to form in our little chrysalis called quarantine. I try to look at it with the silver lining, and I think that you can change anything by just the way you look at it.
I agree. Great job tonight, ladies. I feel a lot of love in my heart.
I know. I love you wearing red.
Yes.
I love you guys.
I love love. You gotta love love too. I love you guys too. So we'll be back next Monday, and I think next Monday we are gonna have a different topic.
Yeah, we are, but we're not telling anybody what it is right now.
No, it's gonna be. You have to show back up next week, 8:00 for Camp Quarantine Presents. Just another manifesting Monday.
Oh.
Maybe. Yeah.
Monday.
He's like, do it again, record it again. No,
Nope. See, I just went with it. I had fun. I'm like,
I
what?
love it. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Good night.
Have a great night. See you soon.
Bye. See you in the morning.